Good afternoon, people of the world. I am very happy to have with us someone that I met a long time in Dubai, and I think what she's doing is amazing for vendors alike, same as for actually couples. Her business is Bright Club Me, and she is located in Dubai. A very warm Downie-Hurst. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon or this evening, also for you in Dubai.
Thank you ladies for having me. I feel honored.
It's great, and I think honestly, or our business was once listed also amongst your selected vendors. But then I actually wanted to have you on this chat. The reason why you should be on this, you should be heard, is because I think you have a very honest and raw approach to not only generally like industry matters, but also current and how vendors as well as couples should actually react in this very sensitive time that we live in. But before we come to where we are right now, and maybe also to hear more about your views and the situation that is also like in the UAE and Dubai, because I also know that in every emirate it is a little bit different also right now. I want to hear a little bit like again more story and how Bright Club Me actually came to where it is right now, because I think it's linked to your very personal story of how you actually got married yourself, what challenges you face when being all of a sudden in a different country and have to organize your own wedding in a place that you didn't know much about, or an industry that you didn't know much about. Tell us a little bit Bright Club Me and how it actually all started,
and how the name came actually off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so basically my background is in media marketing, working for publishing houses. So I was actually, when I moved to Dubai, I was working for one of the biggest publishers in the region, managing a environmental publication. And so I would be making sure that we hit all the sales and advertising revenue targets. And I was also like one of the people that really spearheaded and really pushed for them to go digital and to have a website and to join Instagram and to do events around the magazine. You know, like a 360-degree approach, because it's all very well having a print magazine, but if you don't have marketing or a website or social media to back it up, you know, back then everyone was hopping on the train. So I was one of the people that was really pushing for it. But my my boss at the time was very encouraging of intrapreneurship. So intrapreneurship is when you are kind of like an entrepreneur, but within a work environment where you're employed and you're on their visa. So you don't have all the stresses of being an entrepreneur, but you're kind of like a shareholder, or you have, you know, they foster that creative environment. So he always saw that that in me, and he really encouraged me just to come up with ideas. So the first idea I had was to come up with a platform that connected performers with casting agents and have regular theatre news and things like that. I had the whole business plan done because my background before advertising and media was in the entertainment industry as a professional singer and actress. So I saw a gap in that market, and then I fell in love and my husband proposed, and then I started to plan my wedding. And that's where I had the bingo moment of, oh my goodness, why is there no online platform in this region helping couples connect with suppliers, venues? You know, I want to see other people's weddings. Like I was searching on Google, trying to find actual real life images of weddings that have happened in venues. And all I could find was really naff, like 1980s style, horrible pictures. And I, you know, in England, in America, in the UK, in Australia, there was all these wonderful wedding blogs and wedding media platforms like confetti.co.uk in England, Style Me Pretty in America. And I just thought, this is mad. So I went to my boss and I said, right, what about weddings? And he said, yes, you know, let's launch a print magazine. And I said, no. I said, no. I said, no, not print. I'm a bride. I don't want to wait every 4 months for a magazine to come out, only for it to advertise couture dresses worth 200,000 dirhams that I can't afford. I want to see accessible things. And so he was like, you know what, fine. Give it 3 months. You need to do everything. I'm not going to pay you a wage. And if it works, then we'll talk. So basically, he just gave me a desk, access to accounts, and yeah, I had an accountant, a desk, but everything else I had to do myself, and I outsourced and used my own savings as well. So I outsourced all the web development to an award-winning female designer because I wanted a woman to do this who understands what women want.
Yes.
And I enlisted an award-winning graphic designer. And the name Bride Club ME, I didn't like it to begin with. I was like, Bride Club, like club, that's so naff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to come up with something avant-garde and like, you know, stylish and stuff. But then I think I just did a bit of market research to my personal family and friends and said, you know, which one do you like the best? And all of them were like Bride Club because it just says what it is, you know, it's a club for brides. So, and me, Middle East. Yeah, so that's how Bride Club came to be.
It could be also meaning like me, you know, like
me,
like Middle East. So it is a little bit double meaning.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting, and
very, very interesting story, and a brave boss, by the way.
Well, I think that's the misconception. I think the misconception is that you shouldn't employ people that are more clever than you, because, like, I believe also
you should do the opposite.
Yes, I think once you have actually also people on board, and whether it is in like any company, you need people that are very good in certain areas of your, or even like others that bring in different. I think this is the only way how your business bring in talented people that are brave, really to speak out, to come forward with their ideas, because this is pushing the boundaries of your business. And I think it's amazing if there is a boss out there that lets you grow your own side hustle, sort of. That somehow also in a way I'm sure also benefits his own business by the end of the day, because I mean publishing is sort of is in line, isn't it? I mean, what was then like after the 3 months that you have that you took your time to actually do that? What was that like?
So look, I mean, my boss was Dominic D'Souza. He's no longer with us at the moment anymore. He's in heaven. But he was known for doing that, but he also had a sting in his tail. Like, he could take the idea in a second and say bye-bye, and just, if you crossed him or did anything untoward, or people were doing barters and not declaring it and things like that, he would literally just throw you out on your feet. And but if he sensed that you were a loyal person and that you were authentic and genuine and really then he would like literally have your back, you know. So he let me do my thing, but it ended up being that I was a small fish in a very big pond. You know, they had magazines like BBC Good Food magazine, they had OK magazine. So Bride Club was this teeny micro niche thing when they were dealing with these big brands. And in the end, he had a meeting and he was like, look, we just can't, because I was getting frustrated. I was like, I can't continue doing editorial, marketing, sales. I can't do everything. Like, I'm burning out. Either we need to invest into an editor, a marketing manager, or I don't know what I'm going to do. Because they wanted me to hit like million dirham dollar advertising revenue targets. And I was like, that is not going to happen, not for a long time. So he said, look, you go, you fly, my girl, you go and do your thing, you set up on your own, this is your baby, you know, I'm not taking this from you, you go. So that's when I launched Club Media FZE and launched my own digital publishers. And Bride Club falls under Club Media. And then, as you know, last September I launched Home Club ME, which is the sister website to Bride Club. And then I have other verticals to my business as well. So yeah, then I went alone, and then that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is because when I launched Bride Club, having the backing of a big publishing house helped open doors. So it helped open a lot of doors to me, to hotels, to brands and businesses wanting to list and advertise, because I was associated with a big publishers. If it was just me, Rio, with no experience in weddings at all, you know, they wouldn't have taken me that seriously. But I did spend months meeting wedding professionals, trying to understand the industry, asking them, what do you feel is missing? What do you feel you need? How can I help you with your marketing? What do you find difficult? And I really listened to everything everybody said and applied it to the website. So yeah.
I think that's important, because, you know, this is what, for example, when I talk now about South Africa, I mean, a huge wedding industry, but what is missing is either an institution or a platform or like some blogs or something where actually you can, like, as an industry with one voice. And I see like Bright Love like as at least a platform where consideration different viewpoints, right? You take into consideration you have vetted, you know them, you know how they tick, what they're offering, their service portfolio, and so on and so forth. But you also obviously take into consideration the people who use those and those providers, which are the brides and the couple. And I think that gives you also like a very respected position in the market or in the industry, because there's such, like, other than that, also for even for the Middle East, I'm not so sure, but most definitely for the UAE market, you are the only one where you can at least consolidate those things and then maybe even speak to governments or like to someone, particularly in this moment in time right now where we, like, as individual vendors, need people who also speak on behalf of us, because there are so many small companies in the industry, and you can maybe just also, I mean, back that up, single moms, family businesses, small entrepreneurs. There are not like a lot of huge, like, big companies. I mean, there are obviously as well, but most of the businesses that are in the industry are run by single moms, families, and vulnerable people. I mean, obviously right now, I mean, you are one of them as well, but hit hard with what is happening around the world. I mean, it's not only about South Africa or the UAE, the UK, or like, I mean, but this industry at some point seems to be sort of forgotten almost. And I think that's why also platforms like yours that speak on behalf of different different people.
Have no lobby, actually.
There's no lobby for the industry as such, and that's why I also appreciate what you're doing. And also when I see your lives and when what you post, I think on the one side it's very encouraging, on the other side it's very raw, and I just want to applaud because it's very real, what you're doing and what you're saying. And I think it takes also a lot of bravery sometimes for what you believe is right. People who want to benefit from the situation in the sense of that they're not patient enough. I mean, on the one hand, I cannot blame people to not be patient, because every day, every hour, every minute that we don't do business us is hurting like our clients, industry. But it doesn't help if just there are some people that are not playing within the rules and the framework. Really, the UAE and the Middle East, I mean, the rules are strict. For if you don't obey to the rules, it has also a different impact, maybe than some way in a way. But yeah, so thank you so much, first of all, for that. But going maybe now a little bit more into the now, from taking also like, or looking back at from where you, when you look at the current situation, just fill us in like a little bit for all the viewers. I see there are lots of South Africans that are watching, but fill us in a little bit about the current situation that the UAE is in right now in terms of weddings, and like how to maybe even move forward. What is your idea? What is your thinking of how things can actually move on?
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, thank you for your kind words. I think I've always, when I built Bride Club ME, yes, it's a business. Yes, it's commercial. Yes, vendors pay me money, but I have always had a very strict vetting process, which has annoyed people in the past. And that is to ensure that they're licensed, experienced. I seek referrals. They're active, they're talented. So you don't come to my website and just find anybody because they're paying us. That's not how it works. And I've always wanted to build a community where people feel safe and like comfortable, both brides and vendors. And I feel like I've achieved that. And so it's nice to hear that, people acknowledge that as well. And yeah, I feel like it's my absolute duty to support the industry right now. Yes, my business has suffered immensely, but I am a middleman. I am that voice for brides and vendors, and I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the industry if I just go, oh, well, I'm not making money anymore, so see you later, I'm just going to focus on my other businesses. No, that's ridiculous. Like, I haven't spent 9 years of my life dedicated to my business just to say goodbye over a bug, not happening. But
one of the ways we are going through.
Yeah, but it's difficult because obviously here in the Middle East, you can't, it's not like in the UK where you can take to the streets and start protesting. You have to be very careful with what you say, how you say it. And for me, the main thing that I am vocal about is people in the wedding industry respecting and adhering to the law. I am seeing wedding planners and people blatantly hosting weddings that are illegal and posting it on social media. And to me, it is just like a shove and a kick in the face to all of us who are respecting the law, who are waiting patiently, who are trying to find other ways of making money. And the more people do this, the longer it's going to hold our industry back. And to me, it's just completely selfish. I am making note of all these people and I will never support them. I don't care. Like, I'm not supporting them when the industry bounces back. I don't want anything to do with them because they are inadvertently affecting my life, my business, my livelihood and my health by completely disrespecting the law. And I know it's hard. Like, I know it's hard. We need to make money, we need to hustle. But this is where, as creative people, we need to be smart and we need to think outside the box. Especially wedding planners, florists, photographers who are creatives. Now is the time to think outside the box and think of how can you generate revenue outside of weddings. So the industry here at the moment pretty much is non-existent. You can't really have weddings. I mean, there was a circular, not issued by the Dubai Tourism. Not issued by Dubai Tourism. It was issued by the Health Authority, I think, which said you could have 10 immediate guests, 10 immediate family guests for a wedding. And you have to adhere to social distancing, and there's all these various protocol in place. Now, that is not realistic for the majority of people in this region. You have obviously large Indian and Arabic weddings which happen. You have expat weddings that don't have their family here. So how are they supposed to have weddings with their immediate families? Blessing ceremonies have been completely ignored, which I don't understand, because loads of couples legally get married and then they want to have a really beautiful blessing on a beach and then maybe dinner with a lovely tablescape afterwards. They can't even have that, you know, which I think is strange. Yet you can have a packed brunch, like in a restaurant. So that's where we are right now. You can legally get married in a church or the courts with a couple of witnesses, and then you can have some kind of ceremonial celebration with 10 immediate family guests. So that's the situation here. Obviously in India it's only 50 people, in the UK it's 15 people, I think. What is it like in South Africa?
Well, in South Africa right now, but only since 2 weeks, since we are out of 5 lockdown, and I mean, we directly went into lockdown in March. So from March till now, like literally no event really possible. And 2 weeks, the government announced that every venue can run at 50% capacity, including all the social media, like distancing regulations, like the 1.5 meter distance. But it's very difficult as well on this side, because I mean, only since 2 weeks that is possible. So everyone right now that like knows about the new just planning again, but not for like this year, because a lot of weddings have more than 100 guests. And find a venue now that actually has 200 guest capacity, so they can run at 100 guests.
And who bears the cost as well?
And who is bearing the cost of all the changes and all of this? So it's very difficult on this side of the world. I mean, from a planning perspective, as far as it's in our books, we do not have any weddings for this. We only have weddings for next year. And the same for a lot of our colleagues in the industry. It's very, very hard, because also like here, I mean, there are a lot of single entrepreneurs, that very small businesses, you know, that really have taken a big knockout in this time. I mean, from March till now, September, this is it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, and pivoting really, I mean, is the word of the year, I guess. But it's also difficult, everything that is taken away, because people are like literally living from paycheck to paycheck here. So there's not a lot of savings,
if they even get a paycheck. You know, even if they even get that.
So it's like, it's very difficult, like, to come up with new ideas if you are a lot of pressure.
And also maybe like for people like musicians, for example.
I mean, all of those DJs, where are they going? Like, what are they doing?
Even pivot.
I mean, it's very difficult. I mean,
I think
now the instruments and all of this.
I mean, I mean, that word pivot is just annoying me, you know, like, I think adapt, evolve is a better word, to the best of your ability, because you're very right. Not everybody can easily pivot or, you know, adapt their business to what's happening. Some people are literally having to pick fruit to pay their bills now, you know, especially in the UK. There are people that are working in factories that are packing boxes, you know, and there is no shame in doing that, because to me, this year is about survival. It's not about achieving these huge goals and being the best of this. And right now, for many, especially in our industry, it's about surviving, keeping your head afloat and above water. And the year after is about bouncing back and rebuilding, you know. We all hope. And this is the problem, is that none of us have a crystal ball. None of us can predict what the future holds. And I think the key word, the key thing here is, you know, especially the wedding and entertainment, music, nightlife industry, is it's very worrying for people's mental health. There are people that are suffering from extreme anxiety at the moment. People that already have clinical depression that are really hitting rock bottom. And you know, I'm lucky because I don't think I suffer from I think I have mild anxiety sometimes, but I think I'm doing okay mental health wise, because I am blessed that, you know, my husband and I launched a different business during the pandemic, and it's actually really kicked off. But what I'm dealing with is the emotions of 9 years of my hard work. And literally, you know, potentially before this pandemic, I was gearing up to potentially sell Bride Club. And that was going to be my pension, you know, that was going to be me being able to finally buy a house. And just knowing that potentially that 9 years of blood, sweat and tears is potentially gone is something that I am emotionally fighting with every day. And we all can relate to that in the wedding industry right now.
Business is our babies, you know. I mean your children, but like the businesses are our babies. It's something that we live for. This is how, like, what we learned to walk, you know, from the moment that they were in our mind, like our power, when you're a real entrepreneur, to actually give it the right lessons, teach it, like take all the knocks and the valleys, but also like see it, proud of what we have achieved, and all of a sudden in the blink of an eye it's possibly just gone. And I think this is also, and I mean, I've read also like a report, and it's not just about the wedding industry, mental health, and I think that is very important, particularly talking to entrepreneurs, not so much about brides or couples, although I think also they are going through a hell lot of emotions when they just have like to deal with a lot of uncertainty. But as entrepreneurs, there is such an increase in depression and also the suicidal like rate, where people like basically have no idea how to cope with everything. If you have a lot of staff, if you have a lot of overhead costs, I mean, not everyone sort of is in a lucky from home, or like have a smaller office. I mean, particularly also in Dubai, I mean, before it was possible to get all those freelance permits, you were bound to have an office space that you have if you're not in a free zone company, and all of this. So these are all a lot of overhead costs that, I mean, are running. No landlord is like showing so much mercy to say, you know what, no problem, this month, next month, the following month, because you can just not make any money. They want to have the also understand, but it's putting a lot of pressure on a lot of entrepreneurs' shoulders. So I think it's also important to just also speak about it, and not like you treating it as a taboo topic, because apart from what is economically happening, which is a disaster, is the mental, the physical, like well-being of people. Because also I think that is be adapt, you know, because only if you sort of has a little bit of peace of mind, you can only push your, and you can think outside the box and actually like try to come out on the other side. Right now, I think it's still, for a lot of people, they're still in shock. They're still
Yeah,
after 6 months.
I think they definitely are, and I do keep on checking in with the community and asking people how they are and do they need someone to talk to. You know, because I really do think it's important that people reach out, and you know, like there is an old saying, people do seek misery, you know, like it's horrible to know other people are suffering, but when you do know they are, you don't feel alone. And I think that's important, that people just continue having dialogue and talking about how they're feeling and having these conversations. And you know, but I have always been the sort of person that is like, right, okay, yes, you're dealing with this, yes, you're going through this, but you need to survive. So we need to talk about how you're going to survive, right? So, I mean, that's why I launched my consultancy for wedding entrepreneurs, is, you know, helping them with their marketing strategy, helping them build their business, helping them take their businesses to the next level. And so now, for my own business survival, I am opening up my business consultancy services to other industries, because I have helped single mums who have fashion brands. I have helped media entrepreneurs that want to monetize their blogs. You know, I don't just help wedding industry professionals. So that's how I am adapting my business.
Okay.
I'm focusing on home club. And I have a few other, you know, fingers in a few other baskets. So there are people coming to me going, oh, right, okay, so now these are my skills. This is what I've done for 20 years. Can you give me some ideas of how I can make money in other ways? And it's like, you know, I mean, the problem, and I think it's more relevant maybe here because there is no government assistance, there is no financial assistance. It's either you find another way of making money, otherwise you're crushed. You're not going to get any support, especially our industry, which has been forgotten, which is you know, when I've spoken to people about it, I'm not even going to go into details, but it's just like, oh yeah, it's a 4.5 million dirham industry. It's a huge industry. It brings so much money into the economy, not just weddings, but also wedding tourism, people spending money on hotels, food, F&B, clothes, jewelry. It's a huge industry, which is just, I think, being swept under the carpet, which is just, it's not fair.
But also,
you know,
may I just like interrupt this for a moment, because this is exactly what Elfie said before. Because as an entire industry all over the world, we have not managed to like put out our industry to people's notification that this is such an important and big industry. I remember just a couple of weeks ago we had a court case here where someone took they were talking about the event industry to open up. People even in our country, they said, what is an event industry? Like they laughed, even they made jokes about that. Like what's an event industry? So we have not even made the public aware of who we are. Like when normal people don't even know there is an industry, and not only a wedding planner, and not only a florist, and not only an entertainment company, not only a company that provides food. This is an industry. I think somehow went something wrong down the line in the past. So we have maybe make sure in the future that we get noticed as an entire industry, but that needs unification. Like is it you to be united, you know?
Well, there are associations in the UAE, but I don't understand what they're doing. Like I don't know what they're doing for the industry, especially now. But from what I've heard, they are trying to work with government to come up with solutions, etc. But yeah, I mean, if I wasn't so exhausted with everything else I'm doing, I would have definitely set up an association. But there's only so much I can do as one person. And you know, one was set up about a year ago, so let's see how they're going. Let's see what they do. I think they are trying. But yeah, you're right. I mean, either people get it or they don't. You know, some people, I've seen jokes made about the wedding industry. Oh yeah, well now maybe brides won't be so focused on having such a ridiculous, you know, waste of spending their money, blah blah blah. But at Bride Club, at least, I've never been about only promoting big lavish weddings. I've always been about promoting the wedding industry, whether you want to have a small elopement in the mountains or whether you want to have a Disney World firework wedding. That's your choice. That's your money. I'm going to show you how it can be done and who you can work with. You know, that's my job, because I actually had a feature. I wrote a feature with my grandma, who's 88 years old, on weddings now and weddings back then. And it was called From the Perspective of a Grandma, Weddings in the 1950s. Now, it was very interesting because from her perspective, back then in the 1950s, there was no concept of a wedding planner. But what they were obsessed with was the fashion. So they had trends that we don't really have now. So they had a coming home outfit. They had a honeymoon outfit. Like, everything was about the fashion, and they modeled the fashion off the Hollywood starlets and icons. So they would get, dressmakers were huge then for weddings. There was no such thing as going to a boutique and just picking everything would be handmade from scratch. So you would go and have, you know, your coming home outfit done, your engagement party dress done. It's all about the fashion, and flowers as well. Flowers in the church. So that's the big thing. Everything else they'd never even heard of. Wedding stationery, like they put an announcement in the newspaper that they were getting married, and that's how you would find out, you know, and that's how you'd be invited to the wedding. So it's interesting, but you know how weddings evolve and how things evolve. But back then it was all about fashion, loads of different outfits. Yes, it is about fashion now, but people are really personalizing their weddings, and if you want a black and white Gothic wedding in the mountains, you can have one, you know. And that's what my nan said in this article. She was like, that's what she loves about now, is that she would have liked to really personalize her wedding back then, but she didn't have access to all those ideas and that information then. And also they couldn't have destination weddings because travel was really hard
and
so
expensive at that time, and difficult. Like, I mean, it was not for everyone to travel in the 50s. I mean,
not even going so far back. I mean, like, I'm married for almost 40 years, so that was in 1982. And like, when I spoke about that the other day, even at that time, like, there's no today. I mean, I had 4 people on my wedding, right? That was like my grandma and some friends. That was it, you know. And we went after the ceremony. We went into a restaurant, you know. Like, I mean, that was something, and it was so like unusual, you know. It was quite normal, and
it was really very big to the basic points. Now, obviously, it's much more about socializing and things, which I think also, like, looking now maybe a little bit like
it's more like a competition right now. Like everybody wants to have something unique.
Competition, I mean, I think
I'm not blaming it, I'm just saying it.
I mean, look, social media and things like that has played a massive part on you know, brides feeling that they need to have a certain type of wedding. And I think, look, if anything positive at all is going to come out of this, it is going to make people reassess the real true meaning of what a wedding is, and, you know, why they are getting married. And I keep telling brides
who should be on the wedding, like who should be like present at the wedding.
And who should be there. And I think definitely for the Indian community, this is a big thing, because there are actually some brides that are quite relieved that they don't have to have this huge, massive wedding now. At least ones that I've spoken to, they really like the fact that they're having a really small, intimate family with just their close friends wedding. So I think look, it's going to have so many different impacts on different people. Some people have been dreaming from like the age of 5 to have this huge big wedding with Prince Charming, going to have their hearts broken that they can't have it. Then there are going to be people that are like, oh my gosh, actually I'm so happy, I just want to get married in the courthouse and be done. You know, everyone's going to have different experiences and feelings. For me, if this was me getting married right now, if this was my wedding, I would be heartbroken because I absolutely loved planning my wedding. I was so excited about it. You know, I would have been heartbroken. Like I really would. And I really feel for the brides who feel that way, you know. And it's difficult because so many brides are now, it was a matter of them postponing their weddings, but it's actually getting to the point now where some brides are even cancelling weddings and just having legal wedding and that's it because they're just so fed up with it.
And also,
and then
sorry if I can interrupt, people like moving their weddings already for the third or the second or the third time, you know, in this time frame, which obviously like does not make sense to like really anyone anymore, to say like how many times like should we do that, and then the nerves, like for some of the brides, they just say, I'm sorry, I cannot, I just want to get over it, I want to get married. And particularly in the UAE, I mean, it's just also for legal reasons, you know, how many like, I mean, how like you just need to be like married, like legally
married,
for some, I mean, to officially live together, to do a lot of paperwork, banks and stuff like this. So there is just no other way to do it, but they just say, you know what, I cannot be bothered like with celebrating right now, because also don't feel like celebrating, you know, they don't feel like they want to embrace the world and scream they are happy, because what is happening right now obviously is not very comforting and encouraging.
I know.
Social distancing and all of this, it's a very difficult moment in time.
I know. So it's like, you know, once we get past all the rubbishness of it all, it's like, okay, so what can we do? So what I'm telling brides is, you can either look at getting married in Ras Al Khaimah. So Ras Al Khaimah is open. They do have restrictions, but it's a lot more kind of lenient and they're more open, and you're more likely to be able to have more guests, etc., at your wedding in Ras Al Khaimah. So if you're open to looking at Ras Al Khaimah, look at Ras Al Khaimah. At Bride Club, we're building our relationship with the Ras Al Khaimah Tourism Board, with hotels, with venues, and hopefully we've got some news and articles and inspiration coming up on Ras Al Khaimah. And the same with wedding planners. If you can look at bringing your couples to Ras Al Khaimah, you also need to be building your relationships with hotels, venues, the tourist board in Ras Al Khaimah as well, at least for the time being. Now, my big 40th birthday is in February. I was planning on having a purple rain themed massive party either in Dubai or in Georgia, which is 4 hours away from here. I was so excited, like family were going to fly out and all this sort of stuff. And now I'm like, that's definitely not going to happen. So what I've decided is to have a 40+1 birthday next year. So next February is going to be my big 40th birthday. It's going to be 40+1. F you Corona. That's going to be my big party.
Bring another year. It's not bring another partner. It's +1. Bring another year.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like, I mean, and then if I was a bride right now, what I would be doing is I would be having my legal wedding, so I feel comfortable and I'm safe, and I would be planning my wedding for a year's time, like my big party, my celebration, my reception. You know, that's what I would be doing, rather than trying to have this lovely wedding with 15 people where I can't even hug them. I just wouldn't be doing it. I mean, that's me personally.
That's also what we are recommending right now, you know, and we hope that by sort of next year also things are easing down. Like I mean, that's just, I mean, we're crossing fingers and toes and everything.
That
is just,
I think, like, until we have a vaccine and immunity,
Yeah.
This thing is going to be around forever now. It's not going anywhere until we have a vaccine and immunity to this virus. Then it's just going to be a consistent back and forth. Yeah, but the good thing is that it looks like there are vaccines on the way. You know, whether you agree, whether you believe in conspiracy theories or not, that's not for us to talk about here. But you know, like, some people do, some people don't. But until literally there is a vaccine, it's going to be a lot of up and down, especially with our industry. So again, with brides, that's what I would advise. With wedding professionals, I would advise, yes, work on your mental health, speak to people, but also you need to work on adapting now and finding out, okay, how can I utilize my creative skills and my talent, whatever you are, whether you're a florist, photographer, makeup artist, wedding planner, stationery designer, to give people what they need now.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have already.
Yeah, we have seen that a lot of people, I mean, think outside the box, and they come up with new ideas, and it's actually amazing to see. It just gives you such a warm feeling when you see people succeed and what they are doing, and that something is working right. And because I think that is having heart of an entrepreneur. You, everyone who is struggling right now and who is sort of put on pause and on hold. So it's really amazing to
tell. Can I ask you, tell us a little bit, like, I would be interested in this.
That's what I in this.
You would be interested
in
what? A lot
of people stay more at home. I think, like, the way how you have obviously also, like, put it. I think initially it was that, okay, people come, they get married, and then from that point onwards, maybe they move in together into a flat or into a house, and then they can also make use of your services. But right now, with, like, people are stuck at home much more than, I mean, ever before, and it's also very difficult for, I think, people in Dubai, like, on the run. I'm focusing more on maybe things to do, which is things to do in the home. How can you actually help people right now with your, like, second baby that you have initiated? What are you doing, and how can you help people right now?
Already the third.
Well, it's the third. Taking your real
son,
baby, your son into
5 businesses I have. Right, so
and one child. So it's
and a child, oh my gosh, he's like all 5 rolled into one.
So you've got 6 babies. Oh my gosh.
So Home Club Emmy actually has been 4 years in the making in my head. I wanted to launch it 4 years ago, but all these things happened in my life to kind of put it back, and I was procrastinating, and then I can't remember what somebody said. Somebody said something to me at an event, like, you still haven't launched Home Club or something like that. And then something just clicked in my head, and I was like, that's it, I'm just doing it. So a month later, I had a launch event, and it was live. And basically, Home Club and Me is the same concept as Bride Club. It is an online inspiration platform for all things home life. So home life, from interior decor to organizing, cooking, recipes, entertaining at home, home hacks, cleaning tricks, everything to do with your home life. And it wasn't necessarily, brides get married, now you move into a new home. But that was a way of me keeping my readership at Bride Club, was saying, right, you're married now, come and check out Home Club. And Home Club also has the same concierge services as Bride Club. So if someone contacts our concierge and they want to get hold of a carpenter, or they need a cleaning service, or they want a feng shui consultant or a professional organizer, they can find these people on the website, as well as get ideas and inspiration for their home, and be able to have a sneak peek into people's homes in the UAE and their style and decor and things like that. So we can help people. If you love home life and creating a lovely cozy home and a beautiful home, come to Home Club, have a look, get inspired, and if you need suppliers, you can find them on homeclubme.com. It launched last September. I've grown it very organically, with no intention on monetizing it until year 2, because I wanted to build the brand awareness first. I wanted to slowly build Google rankings, my social media, and then start approaching brands to say, right, I have this following, this amount of hits. Do you want to give me some of your advertising budget? So
that's how it works. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to take time, but we're part of the Dubai Home Festival at the moment is happening. So the Dubai Home Festival is really promoting home life, gardening, interiors. And so I'm hosting a series of workshops with home life experts. So people can come and learn from the experts, like I do with Bride Club, you know, when I do these events and things. It's exactly the same concept. And actually it happened at the perfect time, because now everybody is focused on home. We actually did some market research, and 90% of people said that they're investing more into their home life than they ever have before, whether that is upsizing, decluttering, decorating, redecorating, moving into a home with a garden, or downsizing even, or whatever. They're focused on their home life because they know they're going to be home for a lot more than they usually are.
Yes. That's maybe also sometimes, you know, I mean, this is what we say. I mean, even out of this very sad, bad and situation that we're all facing, hopefully at some point we can look back and say, you know what, it actually happened for a reason, in the sense of something good came out of it. And I'm not talking about the people that were infected or that have stuff, just in terms of the process of your business, that that somehow you see that it's evolving, you know, for something this was necessary to actually push you to maybe now also did the launch, you like moved on with it, because we are all like that. We have so many things in the back of our didn't have time for a lot of things, you know. We just never got around to do something, and a lot of projects that we maybe had in our mind, now we have the time to actually pursue and say, now let's do it. I mean, now
do it, just do it, do it now or never, now or never. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's about survival. So, you know, everybody's circumstance is different. For some people, they're going to need to go and literally get a 9-to-5 job, or get whatever job they need to get to pay the bills. For other people, they have savings, or they might have a husband that's bringing in revenue, so they can kind of really focus on what it is or where they want to go. You know, some are single parent mothers that literally that was their life. Like everybody's different. So you need to look at your personal circumstances and figure out, right, what can I do? Do I need to get a job? Do I need to, do I have savings? Am I okay for 3 months to maybe focus on building something else? I mean, with wedding planners, you know, you guys are very focused on aesthetic and organizing, and, you know, I've seen wedding planners that have shifted into interiors over the past 6 months. They have literally shifted into interiors. There are some wedding planners, because they're so well organized, they've become life PAs, you know, like they like people's personal assistants and managing people's lives, literally, or organizing people's homes and making money out of that, you know. One wedding planner I know has launched, gone corporate, completely virtual events. They had no idea about how virtual or technology. They literally spent all night over weeks learning learning about virtual events. And they were one of the first to do virtual events. And now all of the corporates are coming to them to do their virtual events. So this is what I'm saying. Like it's easy to say, oh, just pivot. For some people it's easier, for other people it isn't. But you just need to assess what your own individual circumstances are. And you know, for me, it was me and my husband launched her first Wi-Fi during the pandemic, which is providing people with fast Wi-Fi, because that's what he can do. He's really good at that, doing that, and everybody needed Wi-Fi, so it was a no-brainer. He has been out at work till 10:30 p.m. every single day, working his ass off to keep a roof over our head, whilst I have been slowly building my new little empires, right? So, but I'm lucky because I have a husband who can do that techie stuff.
Yes.
You know, God knows if he didn't do that, where we would be right now. We'd probably be living with our parents-in-law, having to start over again, you know? So...
Yeah. And I think it's important also for the perspective for people. I mean, in the UAE, either if you're self-employed and if you're not really doing enough to keep them money, you're gonna be out. That keeps you there, except for the business that you own and that you have. Or if you're in employment, then it's your employment contract that keeps you there, because I can just not be there. And I think that's also completely different in a way incentive, because you have built your life there for so many years, you know. I mean, this is your, like, this is the place that you have made your home, and for so many people it's the same. That I think countries, I mean, I don't want to even say in Africa, because in Africa also here we don't get any governmental support whatsoever. I know in Germany you get some sort of financial support when you're an entrepreneur, but also like in the industry that we are in, such a long time that people are running dry right now, literally. So as you say, I mean, people just need to find a niche. My question, like, just go on to weddings, because obviously they are at our, I mean, for us it's nothing more beautiful work on weddings, to see families that unite, to see celebrations and love and joy and amazing designs, beautiful flowers. I mean, it's the whole package. Not so many years also in the UAE. For people who would maybe next year consider the UAE either as a destination, or for people who want to maybe say, this is a beautiful, go look for another place. What would you say to people makes you feel that the UAE is the right for weddings? Like, what is it that when you speak to a bride, if they're or they don't know, like, what is the selling point for the UAE for you, like from your point of view?
Well, when I was planning my wedding, we were considering either Sri Lanka, England, Italy, or Dubai. And because I'm half Sri Lankan, we're both from England, my husband is half Italian, and obviously we live in Dubai. So we weighed up all the options and we decided on Dubai for a number of different reasons. Number one, we're here, so it was less stressful for us in terms of planning. Number two, it is a great location for people in various countries around the world to meet in like a middle ground. Number three, it's very safe and clean. You're less likely to have like a crazy earthquake or some madness happening in terms of weather. You know, you've got great weather most of the year. And actually there are so many different options. There are beach weddings, there are garden lawn weddings, there are ballroom weddings, courtyard weddings, mountain weddings. Like, there are so many different types of weddings that you can have here in the UAE in one city, in the UAE. But in Dubai, you've got, to me, it's just, you've got everything. And if you plan properly and you work with the right people, it doesn't have to cost you like an extortionate amount. You've just got to work with the right people, you've got to plan in advance, and you've got to know how to plan and budget. So Dubai, for me, like, if you're considering, I mean, compared to many different countries, the rate of COVID is quite low. And the way that they're managing things, I think, is admirable. So I would feel safer having a wedding here than going back to England and having a wedding, definitely, you know, or going to Spain or somewhere like that. So There are so many different reasons. It's multicultural. You've got like all of the different landscapes. It's safe. It's easy to get to. Yeah, there's many different reasons.
That's amazing. I think that's a nice like sum up for also. I love to do destination weddings in Dubai because we also believe it has so many options for so many people, and particularly for people who have a lot of different family members coming together. It's a very central location, but also it has much more than just glimmer and glitz, and like, it has so many hidden gems that really maybe surprise a lot of people, that it's just about 5-star property, is just about like the ocean, or just about the desert. There are so many unique places, and I think are so worth exploring and giving it to go. And
the service is excellent.
Yeah, and the service like is like generally across the, like from a obviously 5-star hotel, but really down to the that you need for a wedding. I think the service always stands out in the UAE, not only in Dubai, generally in the UAE. If you're looking for service, like this is the place to be.
Yeah, in certain industries, not if you're trying to call do. But in the hospitality industry.
Like, I think, speaking about the wedding industry, like generally, like people are very high on service delivery, and I think that is also what I appreciate when I speak to vendors. I mean, I'm not talking about construction and like all of it. I'm really just talking about like the wedding industry, and this I think is to really consider, coming also from like maybe some other parts of the world.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to summarize is like a lot of people's like professional trainings that they've got, like let's say when florists or when like pâtisseurs come from Europe or from America, from other Arabic countries, they got a like a training behind them, and that's obviously what they bring with to the industry as a advantage. Yeah,
but it's very multicultural here, and it's very multicultural here, and like,
that is what.
Yeah, if you have an Indian wedding, you know that you're well catered for. You know that the hotels understand the cultural traditions, the food. You know, even with Israel opening up, you have kosher kitchens here now. You know, again, whatever your political beliefs are, Dubai always makes sure that various different ethnicities, cultures, religions are catered for, which I think that people really do appreciate as well. There are churches here. If you want to have a Christian wedding, you can have a Christian wedding, and then you can have a blessing ceremony. Obviously, you can have Muslim. You know, there's a Sikh temple here now. All the different food and culinary cuisines and different chefs, and everything is catered for, which I think is you don't get that in every country at all.
No, exactly. This is what we actually talk about and say this is a highly appreciated, that the people in the UAE so most minded actually to of those different religions. Like it is not always in any country, but I think we have had a wonderful time right now together.
Yes, thank you so much for ending this on a positive note, and I wanted people to be, if they're not already in the UAE, check out Bright Club Me and E. If you're looking for really vetted vendors, I really have to say this. I had to submit my license and like all of this question, and I think that is also something that I really value about your service. It's not just like listing like any vendor that comes along your way. In the UAE is a very important issue, so that you are really allowed to do a job, have a liability as well towards your clients, and also like working with venues and stuff like this. So that is very important. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All the very best, and also stay I think that is in the moment like the most crucial thing, because if that's not possible, then all the dreams and everything that we want will not be achieved. But we just hope that you can adjust the best way possible to what that we have. And I hope a lot of people will check out your website, Bride Club Me,
Thank you.
and find valuable information there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
really,
Wish you
really
all the best too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.